While the world's attention is fixed on the upcoming face-to-face meeting between the leaders of the United States and Russia, set to take place in the coastal city of Halifax, Canada, two other global hotspots are on the brink of boiling over. If all three crises erupt at the same time, Washington could face the scenario it has tried to avoid for decades, a multi-front war with adversaries who not only understand its weaknesses, but are prepared to exploit them. On September 20th, Halifax will become the epicenter of a meeting that could redraw the map of Europe. It will be the first time in over a year that senior officials from both governments sit at the same table since the war in Ukraine reached its deadliest stage. According to diplomatic leaks reported by European media, Moscow plans to present a proposal that includes formal recognition of certain occupied territories in exchange for halting new offensives. In diplomatic circles, this is called a frozen conflict. The fighting stops on paper, but the root causes remain unresolved. For Kiev, this formula is unacceptable. The Ukrainian president has warned that any territorial concession would be an open invitation for future aggression, not a guarantee of lasting peace. And Ukraine isn't the only one seeing the danger. NATO allies, especially Poland and the Baltic states, fear that a weak deal would send a dangerous message, that borders can be changed by force if you have enough power. For nations with living memory of Soviet occupation, this isn't just politics. It's an existential threat. While delegations debate in Halifax, another geopolitical chessboard is heating up. In the Pacific, China has stepped up its military drills near Taiwan. In recent weeks, there have been maneuvers simulating a total blockade of the island and amphibious landings, as well as aerial incursions crossing the median line of the strait at an unprecedented frequency. These aren't simple training exercises, they're a signal. Beijing is willing to apply military pressure if it believes diplomacy won't deliver its objectives. Beyond its strategic location, Taiwan is the beating heart of the global semiconductor industry. It produces 60% of all chips and over 90% of the most advanced ones, components essential for everything from smartphones to cutting-edge weapon systems. Washington's decades-old policy of strategic ambiguity is meant to deter China from attacking and Taiwan from declaring formal independence, but that tightrope is getting thinner. In the past year, Chinese fighter jets have intercepted U.S. aircraft at dangerously close ranges, and warships have come within meters of U.S. Navy vessels in the South China Sea. One miscalculation could trigger escalation within hours. Meanwhile, the Middle East is back in focus. The conflict between Israel and Iran-backed armed groups is intensifying. In Gaza, airstrikes have increased in recent days, targeting tunnels, weapons caches, and command centers of Hamas. Hezbollah from Lebanon has made it clear it could open a second front if it believes Israeli actions cross certain lines. With an arsenal of over 100,000 rockets, its intervention would transform a localized fight into a full-scale regional war. For the United States, this isn't a distant problem. Its forces are deployed in Iraq and Syria, operating from bases that have been targeted in the past by Iran-backed militias. A significant attack on U.S. personnel would force Washington to respond, potentially sending aircraft carriers and strategic bombers to the eastern Mediterranean, consuming resources that might be needed in Europe or Asia. This is where it all connects: time and resources. Military planners speak of avoiding a two-front war, but the risk now is three simultaneous crises. Aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines can't be in two oceans at once. Elite fighter squadrons and rapid response units take weeks, sometimes months, to reposition. And the war in Ukraine has already consumed massive amounts of ammunition, forcing the Pentagon to ramp up artillery shell production to levels unseen since the Cold War. The danger isn't only logistical, it's political. During World War II, the U.S. had a wartime economy and a united population behind the war effort. Today, domestic polarization and fatigue from prolonged conflicts make it harder to sustain public support for long-term overseas commitments. And adversaries know this. A misstep in Halifax, an overly aggressive maneuver near Taiwan, or a rocket strike in the eastern Mediterranean could force Washington to make rapid decisions under extreme pressure. Decisions that would shape not only the immediate future, but also the global balance of power for decades. In the coming days, Halifax will be in the spotlight. But the real test is whether the United States can maintain its strategic balance against Russia, China, and a Middle East on the verge of war, without getting dragged into simultaneous conflicts. Should it seek compromises to buy time or hold the line no matter the cost? Tell me what you think in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next updates, because in this environment, a single headline can change the course of the world in a matter of hours.